time right now. It's Corona time. It's Corona time.
Welcome to Just the Tip. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to have you here. We had an episode planned, but our lives have all changed this week.
What was the topic going to be for this week?
We were going to talk about intimacy, sex,
Navigating disappointment in sex in your relationship.
all of that. And coronavirus is consuming all of our lives right now. We are all encompassed by it. We are all at home quarantined. So we're going to bring you some content that we're going to talk a little bit about coronavirus, and we're going to talk about what we've been doing and what we've been watching and consuming to take the load off a little bit.
Yeah. So first off, go to our Instagram at Your Fave Podcast, and you can check out the video that we filmed talking about what it has been like working from home together. Mike and I live in an apartment that is just under 800 square feet. So by no means is it cramped living, but I've been working from home now for 3 weeks, and he is working from home for like his third or fourth day. So that alone has been its own, challenges. And we are going to offer you up some TLDR, too long didn't read. If you want for the full list of tips, go watch the video. But if you're just here right now and you just want to have the highlights, we're going to give you our quick tips for working from home together and not going insane, not killing each other.
Okay, what's tip number one?
Tip number one is to really create a morning routine. For me, I am someone who I like a routine. It helps me to still wake up, take a shower, brush my teeth. And even though I'm not putting on like clothes I would wear to leave the house, I am putting on clothes that I did not sleep in. That's the main thing for me. Making the bed up too. Before I walk out of the bedroom, making the bed, taking a shower, cleaning myself, putting my skincare routine together. It makes me feel good. Mascara.
And I haven't done any of that.
Yeah, Mike's still in his pajamas.
We're recording at 7 o'clock at night, and I worked all day in my pajamas, and I'm still in them.
Did you brush your teeth?
Not yet.
Not yet. Right. That's the thing though. So in the past, years ago, I worked from home for a year. So I already know how easy it is to have no routine and to actually work more than you would if you were going to an office, because you roll out of bed. It seems real fun until you realize, oh shit, I have no balance. I'm not keeping a routine. So number one tip, create a morning routine. Thank me later. Number two, Mike, what is it?
Take breaks and get fresh air. Got to get outside.
Did you do that today?
I did do that.
I forced you to go outside.
You literally forced me outside. I would have I was going to just work through my day completely. I ate my lunch while working, and I was going to keep going.
He's the same worker bee at work as at home.
Yeah. So, but Aisha forced me to take a midday break, and
nice.
And then we went on a walk afterwards. And you got to get fresh air, especially with being on lockdown.
You take for granted how many times you actually walk around or go outside throughout your workday, unless you're working somewhere where you're confined in an interior space and you don't have access to outside. You are walking maybe to transit, you're walking to your car, you're walking to get lunch. You may bullshit with a coworker and go walk around with them and go grab coffee and gossip or whatever. There's a lot of times you're moving, and when you're not moving around your house, it's easy to forget. And by the time that you look up, it's 5 o'clock and you're like, shit, I haven't had access to fresh air. And now it's time to cook dinner and whatever responsibilities you have. So yeah, make it a thing. If you're a smoker, smokers take breaks all day. Think about it like that. Go take a 15-minute, lap around the block. Get some air. Third tip. What is it, Mike?
Don't eat all your snacks by day 3.
Yeah, don't eat all. Okay, number one, when you work from home, it's easy to eat everything.
So easy.
But now that you're quarantined, you need to not eat all your quarantine snacks by day 3.
Yeah, because the grocery stores are getting slightly raided. Good thing we don't have to eat toilet paper. But
speaking of toilet paper, we actually have just started buying a lot of wet wipes because we don't have a bidet. I know a lot of people already had a bidet.
Well, no, the reason we bought wet wipes is because we went to Safeway and there was no toilet paper.
I know, but we buy wet wipes to clean the dog's butt anyway. But now I'm thinking this is kind of a good idea for us too.
So with snacking, my recommendation is try to stick to your same routine you would at work. So I eat a morning and an afternoon snack, and I have lunch.
You're a grazer. You graze and eat throughout the day.
Yeah, so I try to force myself to still stick with my one little morning snack, eat my lunch, and then an afternoon snack. Because if you let yourself keep walking to the kitchen, you're going to lose productivity, and you're going to gain weight.
Yeah, especially that gyms just closed today. So in Seattle, all the gyms I know are closed at least through the month of March, which for me, that was a huge way that I had been managing my stress. And it was the one normalcy I still had in my routine was going to Pilates and to yoga, which seems very first world in the midst of a literal pandemic that I was still going to Pilates and yoga. But yeah, not doing that anymore. So I'm watching what I eat, looking for online options for movement. You don't have an excuse now. You're not, there's literally no excuse for you to not eat better and to move your body because you don't have to commute to work for the majority of people who are listening to this. Let me preface it with that.
Yeah.
Also,
not everyone's as privileged to be able to work from home.
It's a privilege to be able to work from home. We would also be remiss if we didn't acknowledge how devastating the restaurant and event industry is right now in Seattle and watching it, kind of crumble across the rest of the country, and it's devastating. I know so many small business owners in Seattle, and it's heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy to be a witness of everything shutting down. Bars and restaurants closed.
Yeah.
By mandate.
And it's for a good reason, but we're living in the midst of something that we don't know how this is going to shake out. But the number one tip that we have, which really this is tip 4, but this is the most important thing. Don't be an asshole.
It's really easy to treat your partner. It's really easy to treat your new coworker, who could be your partner at home working from home, to treat them less than you would a coworker in the workspace.
Because you're comfortable with telling them to maybe shut the fuck up or to not do that, or you know what I mean? You're just comfortable with telling each other stuff.
But you got to remember, they're at work too.
Yeah, they also are at work. And remember, you may be the annoying coworker at your job. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
You literally may have been the annoying one and no one told you. And now that you're at home, your partner's like, the fuck are you doing? That's crazy. Mike and I, when we first started working from home last week together, I kind of have always worked from home off and on. So I think that I'm a little more territorial with the space and I have a flow to things. And he definitely is the quirky coworker. So it took a few days for us to figure out how to communicate.
It took a couple days to get through it, but
you didn't like me calling you the new guy. You didn't like me calling you fish.
No, I'm okay with being called fish
You
and
didn't
new
like being
guy.
hazed.
I didn't like being treated like the new guy.
I was treating him as though he wasn't and isn't paying half the rent.
Yeah.
In this place. So yeah, those are our big tips, but we have a whole list of them. So go to Instagram TV at Your Fave Podcast. Check that out. I also have it posted on my regular page at 627, spelled all the way out. More importantly, let's talk about what we're doing, because I hit a point where I was kind of getting so overwhelmed and stressed out by all of the Corona content that's out there that Mike really suggested that I needed to balance my intake of social media and news. So that gave me a whole bunch of time to consume other stuff. So I would say the number one thing that I've been doing that's a lot of fun is TikTok.
TikTok is a time warp.
TikTok is a time warp.
It sucks you in.
My friend Jess, she loves fucking TikTok, and she's always, oh wait, I'm not supposed to curse as much. My aunt, who I love, gave me feedback this week that she really enjoys the podcast that Mike and I are creating together, but I sound like a sailor and I should try saying darn and shucks.
Gee golly.
So I'm going to try cursing less this episode in honor of my Aunt Martha, whom I love. Okay, so Jess loves TikTok, and the running joke is at work she usually will get one TikTok mention of the day. And so because of her talking about it so much, I've legit downloaded this app 4 times and deleted it 4 times, and now I've downloaded it one more time. I haven't really been pressed to film a video. Mike and I tried, and we actually filmed it so wrong. It turned out like something, but it's like 30-year-olds making a video on TikTok and it's not right. Yeah, so that's kind of weird, but my favorite thing is just watching all the videos. I can watch them and time just passes. An hour goes by.
Yeah, like
it feels like 10 minutes.
The other night I had to set a timer on my phone so that I could get pulled out when I wanted to go do my next thing.
I love it. I love the cat videos. I love it's Corona time.
It's Corona time.
Yeah, I like that. I love the normal people do this, psychopaths be like this. Oh my gosh, I may be psycho. I just like TikTok a lot. So I think I'm going to graduate to learning a few TikTok dances. My TikTok right now is private, but once I learn a dance, then I'll post something. Let us know if you think Mike should also do a dance. I've made him learn Beyonce choreo before, so I believe in him. I think you could actually do it.
It's not good. Like, don't get anyone excited.
No, don't get excited.
Yeah, because I've also forgotten it all.
Yeah, you've forgotten it all. Okay, so when we're not, when I'm not forcing Mike to watch TikTok, we've been watching a lot of content on Hulu, Netflix.
Okay, so I finished Secession a long time ago, but
He
you just finished it.
Okay, so this is the thing. I really love animals. And when I got to the scene in maybe season 2 of Secession where they were hunting.
Yeah, they're on a boar hunt.
I stopped watching, and I stopped watching for months.
It's like the scene of them with guns in their hands at like the hunting site, quote unquote. It really only lasts about 5 seconds, like 5 to 10 seconds tops. But it stopped Aisha in her tracks, and she didn't go back. You didn't go back to the show for months. And then you finally were like, okay, I'm going to pick it up again.
Because Secession I think it's a well-written show. It's a really good show.
Yeah.
All the people are fucking miserable, yo. The people are just...
Yeah, there's no one like redeemable in the show.
I thought I liked Shiv, and then I realized that she was also miserable. So the characters are terrible, but it's a really good show. So we finished Secession. I called the ending. No spoilers. I called the ending, though.
Ball on the floor. It's fun. It's a game.
Mike is really good with impressions, or at least I think he is. So
yeah.
I kind of hype you up in the house to do impressions.
You're my only audience, and you think they're good, so.
Yeah, it works. So Secession is a show. I think everyone should watch that. Also, I last night finally got Mike to finish watching the Taylor Swift documentary. I watched this maybe a couple months ago.
I started it.
And then you said, fuck this.
Months ago, and I really made it about 1 minute and 33 seconds in.
Do your imitation of the Taylor Swift doc.
I always just wanted to be a good girl. All my life, trying so hard to be a good girl.
Okay, that one's on.
That was the part, literally, minute and 33. She's talking about how she wants to be a good girl.
And then he said he clicked off of it and said, I'm not watching this.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't go a second further.
But I really wanted you to watch it because I watched the Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix. It's called Miss Americana. I watched it as someone who, 1, is not a Taylor Swift fan, 2, does not listen to Taylor Swift's music, 3, only knew about her, honestly, when Kanye interrupted her. And he actually was right because Beyonce did have the best video of the year. Single ladies, are you kidding me? That people still do that dance. Does anyone know what Taylor won for that year? No. But also I wasn't a fan of hers. And so I thought it would be more interesting to watch the documentary to just kind of learn. And my biggest takeaway from the documentary was that she's really musically talented, and I thought it was kind of cool to see the side of an artist writing and their creation process. I like stuff like that. I also felt as though this was not a documentary that was meant for me. This is a documentary that I truly felt was meant for other white conservative women who want to feel empowered to have an opinion about something as basic as human rights.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's her audience.
It's her audience. And so, I mean, she has more of an audience than just that. But I thought that it was really cool that she made this documentary, even though there are problematic pieces of it. I understood that this was not for me. And I think it was good that she made this content for those people.
Yeah. It gives me hope that so far she actually did do some good with her platform.
Yeah.
And it gives me hope that in the future she will do more good with her platform.
Yeah, so you finally watched that. We just started on Hulu watching the Hillary Clinton documentary. This documentary, so far, we're on episode 2 or 3. I really like it. I do have to take breaks from watching it because, 1, it's hard to relive that time of her election loss. Knowing that it's building up to documenting that is difficult, but in the midst of all of the news content I've been consuming, every once in a while, I just need to take a break from politics. But much like when I read Michelle Obama's book and realized how much of her life no one really publicly knew about because people knew more about her husband, the same goes with Hillary. Hillary was like this fucking amazing, legit ass, powerful woman who had her shit together long before she met Bill. And growing up, I was a little kid when her husband was president. But she has so much. It's like really cool to learn how much these women these women outshine their husbands. And it's really cool to see their stories.
Yeah, Bill Clinton was kind of nothing without her. I mean,
He
granted,
was the charisma.
He was the
They're
charisma.
like a power couple.
Yeah.
He's so damn charismatic. Even him getting blowjobs at his job, Mike likes to say he got his dick sucked by an intern at work.
That's not average Joe type stuff.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't the first, that wasn't the last. A normal philanderer doesn't just get their dick sucked at work by the intern. Like that's high level. This guy is serious about it.
He's a high level offender.
He is a high level philanderer.
Yeah. And I think that you get to see in the documentary how charming he really is. I mean, he's still charming now when he's being filmed about this stuff. It's like, okay, but you see how they balance each other out. I also really want to point out that within 2 minutes of the documentary, Mike was already making snarky comments, basically blaming Hillary for not being poor as a 5-year-old child. And I had to pause it and be like, is this something I can watch with you in the room? Because you're kind of doing the same thing that people do. You're blaming her for her lack of poverty as a child.
Yeah, I think, okay, something that I really should have realized earlier was that with Hillary Clinton, you're a
Bernie bro. Let's just also say that so people understand.
But I mean, really, I didn't know enough about Hillary, and now that I know more about her, I think that I wish she would have won. I mean, I always wish she would have won over Trump for sure, but well, she beat Bernie anyway, so that doesn't even matter.
I don't know if we ever mentioned on the podcast, but during that election, during the primary, or is it the primary or what is it called?
It was the Democratic
primary. Mike was still going to vote for Bernie, and I started crying during dinner, and he changed his vote to Hillary. So this is like a thing. So
we were at like a nice seafood restaurant on the downtown
restaurant
on the water in Seattle, and she starts crying because I was going to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, and he changed his vote, but I think that it goes to show that you were kind of being unfairly harsh.
Oh yeah, but what I was saying, so what I was saying was that in the documentary and in life that I've seen, barely anyone ever has an issue with Hillary's policy. It's always been personal attacks on her.
And there are some things I've heard about her comments about a super predator and things that her and her husband had. So there are valid critiques of her, but as it pertained to her running in 2016 against your president, the orange guy, number 45.
Not my president.
Not my president. Someone's president. Hopefully no one listening. It was just, this is fucking ridiculous that we're even having a question of who should win. But then you watch the documentary, and I could see your body language change and soften. And I think it was when she was discussing how the adversity she faced as a woman in these spaces when she was growing up, you realized, oh, there was a reason that she had to be so non-emotional to survive being in these spaces. And even before because she grew up in Illinois in the suburbs, even before she was doing anything for civil rights or being involved in protests, you almost judge that as well. Like, oh, well, you're not around a diverse group of people. And I think that you have softened as you watch the documentary.
Definitely, yeah. Like, of course I voted for Hillary, but I wasn't super happy to vote for her. But now I would be so happy after I've watched a little bit of her life. And I realized that, she is kind of robotic in a way that she doesn't really let you in. Like she doesn't really crack emotionally, but that's because she had to survive and she had to become such a high functioning person as a woman being attacked personally.
Being attacked and being competent and smarter than the majority of the people in the room, starting from her husband becoming governor and her having to soften for the sake of the greater good. And I think that it really does make me sad watching her documentary to see how many times she had to lessen her shine or who she was as a person for something else.
Yeah, she really had to dampen herself a lot so that Bill could take the shine and he could seem like he was the patriarch and she was the wife supporting him. But
I also think that she's so brilliant that like she was the brains behind their whole operation.
She totally drove it. She drove it.
He was the charm and she was the brains.
And they admit that openly.
Oh, openly.
And even like back in when Bill was running for governor of Arkansas, their part of their campaign was, you're voting for me, but you're also getting my wife.
Yeah, they were a hell of a 2-for-1. That was like a good 2-for-1. So looking at all of her history and really understanding how much she was able to, what her experience has really been, the fact that someone would ever question her capacity to handle that job is even more of a joke, because she's been closer to it in the inner workings of really, I would say, formal politics longer than any of those other people who were there. Okay, sorry, I don't want to like Hillary fangirl out too much. Something else that we are attempting to watch, well, I am, is...
I've already watched it all.
Okay, y'all, don't fight me, but I think The Office is trash, and you can fight me in my DMs. I have been sharing that I've been trying to watch The Office. I tried to watch it maybe like a year ago or something. I got to episode 3 and then stopped. And so I revisited it and I tried to start again from the beginning. And I got to the same episode and was like, this is just not good. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't like the character Michael Scott. Is that his name?
Yep.
He's an awful boss that's super toxic, so incompetent, so annoying. It's not even funny. It just makes me feel like, where is HR?
Toby's HR.
Which one's Toby?
The one that Michael hates.
Which one does he hate?
The one that looks like the guy from...
Damien.
Yeah, Damien from
Toby,
Love is Blind.
Does anyone else think that Toby looks like Damien from Love is Blind in like 20 years?
Yeah, in 20 years.
Okay, you like Dwight the best. Why is his hair parted in the middle?
Dwight is my favorite. I watched The Office. I liked it when it was live. Dwight is just... I loved Dwight so much.
Dwight seems like the type that will come to the office and revenge, hurt people.
Yeah, he could.
I don't like it. Does Mindy Kaling get any lines?
Yeah, she's a main character.
I watched the Mindy Project on its own, so it's weird seeing her look like not a star, because she's such a star. She carried her own show.
She didn't quite have her full glow up yet.
No,
she had
episode
her
1.
full
There's no
glow up like
None of those characters have a glow up right now.
mid-series. She glowed up.
Does Pam ever get rid of that like trash boyfriend she has, because he's just a loser?
She does eventually, yeah.
Is she dating the guy that is like with the fluffy hair that covers his face?
Yes.
Is his real name John Krasinski?
Yeah.
He's married to Emily Blunt, I think, in real life. The girl from Devil Wears Prada. No, Mike doesn't know. He's like, his eyes are glossing over, not knowing.
I look like one of those Easter Island statues.
Okay, so some people have slid in my DMs so far. I posted on Instagram about trying to make it through The Office. The thing that I've heard so far is that either you needed to watch it originally because it didn't hold up as well, but just get through the first season and then it'll be okay. I've also heard that the British Office is way better and maybe just watch that one. I've also heard that other people don't like this show, but they don't want to publicly speak out about it, because I guess this is equivalent of saying you don't like Game of Thrones, maybe.
I think what you have the problem with are basically the show's fundamentals, and the fundamentals of the show don't change. Michael Scott is awkward and a terrible boss the entire way through. He barely redeems himself because he's just always floundering his way, and it's hilarious to some, but to you, I think maybe you've had bad bosses and you find
I'm too fresh off of having bad bosses.
I think you're like legit triggered by it.
I love my boss right now. I love my life right now, but I am slowly, I think maybe it's PTSD. I'm like still licking my wounds of having,
because you said,
experienced intensely poor leadership.
Yeah, you were like, how is he in charge?
Episode 1, I'm wondering where HR is and how to help save these fictional characters from this tyrant.
And I was just thinking, I told her, well, think about how you've ever had any bad leader.
You said these are all the bad leaders rolled into one.
Yeah.
And then you said, if you've ever had a bad boss, how do they have their job?
How are they there? Yeah, who knows? They are.
Something I also don't like about the show is the looking to the camera and talking to the camera. I don't like the interviews. It feels like a break in the flow. And I noticed that Parks and Rec does that too. I stopped at episode 3 with that show as well. I don't really like it. And the beginning seasons of Sex and the City, they used to do that. And I was so happy when they stopped. So maybe that is something difficult with just the way they filmed it for me to get past. I don't know, but if you like The Office, let me know if there are any hacks to try to like it. Is it okay? I mean, do you just give up after 3 episodes again and say this show isn't for me? Did it get better?
I mean, you could try one more episode, but it's really, the show is fundamentally the same all the way through.
I watched Seinfeld before, and I remember starting Seinfeld on season 2 because I didn't like season 1. And then from season 2 on, I really loved Seinfeld. And maybe it's one of those things where I should just, if I skip ahead to season 2, will I miss certain jokes?
You're fine. We could try that. We could skip ahead to season 2 and see how you feel.
We haven't been bored enough to watch The Circle Brazil. I just wanted to say that. So there are limits to there are limits to our boredom. Something that I love, and I just want to thank these amazing creators, Ben Sinclair and his ex-wife. What's her name? Like
Nadia? Katchu? Katcha?
Fuck, we're trash. Why do we only know his name? We know what she looks like, and we know how to. I could point to her name if you have it written down.
We could pick her out in a lineup.
High Maintenance on HBO is one of my favorite shows. It's absolutely phenomenal.
He's the best.
He's the best. And one of my favorite episodes ever was with the quote assholes. And it was this guy and this girl. And this, I think it's maybe season 2.
It's early on.
But it's this amazing episode, and it highlights them as a couple, like as a couple of friends and like what they're going through. I don't want to spoil it for you, but he brought the assholes back for this recent episode in season 4. And what's so funny is I talk like the girl in the show.
Yeah.
And so I've made Mike watch this episode, the one from a couple seasons ago. I've made him watch it so many times because it's my all-time favorite. And I was on my phone playing Candy Crush or something. And when I heard the girl talking, I didn't know it was the same character. And I was just thinking, oh, that sounds like me. And I look up and I'm like, oh, it's the girl. It's that crazy girl. I love her.
So we finally, after seasons, multiple seasons, we get to see like kind of the conclusion to the storyline of these two characters from this episode that we've watched hundreds of times.
Yeah. I mean, we've probably watched it maybe 30 times.
Yeah.
But that's a lot. Like, I'm not exaggerating, 30 real times.
It was a real treat for them to like tie off that loose end.
It was such a treat for fans of the show who also don't know the name of the second creator of the show. But for us as fans of the show, it was such a gem to have them give you that little nugget, because so many people, have asked about what happened with these characters, and it's the power of storytelling and creating a connection with these fictional characters that impact us and make us interested in knowing, well, what else happened to them? It's like, well, after they finished filming that day, they went to live their normal lives. But, it was really cool. So that for me was a highlight, watching that. Everyone, if you're looking for something to binge, definitely High Maintenance on HBO. You do have to have HBO. Speaking of which, this may be the perfect time to do one of those 30-day free trials for premium channels.
Oh, yeah.
Or just add
right
them for the next month because you're at home, and then delete them.
Okay, and I'm looking for content right now. I have like 7 Audible credits. And this freaking Audible, if you cancel your membership, you lose all your credits. So I've been in this loop of trying to think of what books I can download so that I can finally cancel my membership, because I don't want to lose all those credits I paid for. So I'm going to do the Michelle Obama book, but that's just going to be like 1 or 2 credits.
It's 1.
Okay, 1 credit. So I need like 6 books, people. So if anyone knows of some good Audibles, send them over.
What kind of topics are you interested in?
That's my whole problem.
You're interested in history. You're interested. You don't read.
I don't read books, so I don't even know what I want to listen to.
No, but what kind? You love a lot of finance. You love history. Think of the podcasts that you listen to.
I mean, my podcasts are like informational, documentary type. I like history. I like finance. That's kind of what the podcast I listen to.
So I successfully canceled my Audible subscription, and I did so by just looking up book recommendations for 2020 and then listening to the snippets and saying, you know what? Shucks, I need to just make a decision. So I have been an Audible member since 2017, and I used to have a really long commute, so I would listen to more books, but I think I've finished maybe 23 books on Audible, but I have 12 that I need to read. That's a year's worth of books. So I'm going to do that, but I will give you some suggestions, but please let us know. Mike doesn't check his Instagram, so either go to our Facebook page at Your Fave Podcast or just DM me at 627.
No, I check my Instagram. There's just nothing to check.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Mike is looking for suggestions for Audible books. So yeah.
Yeah, Mike.couch. Send them my way.
At Mike.couch.
At Mike.couch.
Okay. So The only other thing that I really am excited about is the fact that Candy Crush is, every time I log into Candy Crush, it has a little alert that says, wash your hands and stay safe. And it makes me feel good. It's like, thank you. I'm crushing candy. I also feel like maybe I should learn a language while we're working from home and have all this downtime.
Sí.
¿Qué tú haces?
¿Qué tú haces? Yo quiero hablar español.
Habla que habla.
Pero no.
You only know Spanish from
sé.
Narcos.
Sí.
And
Solo Narcos.
I only know Spanish from watching the most recent episode of High Maintenance.
Plomo y plata.
Yeah. So what are the things that you're doing to stay sane during this, what are you calling it? The COVID crash?
Well, okay, so I am... so I had a recommendation to Aisha. I am calling this the COVID crash in relation to the economy. I recommended to Aisha that she limit her news updates to just once in the morning, once at night, so that she doesn't get caught in that infinite content loop and start spiraling out, getting obsessed with stories. So, but I'm kind of stuck to the stock market news because, I got to live and watch one stock market crash.
Oh, the joys of watching another one.
It's kind of fun to get minute by minute updates on this current one. So yeah, I'm trying to limit the amount that I'm like obsessing over news updates. So that's my recommendation.
There's some really good outlets, I think, going to the CDC website, and then also I think going to the World Health Organization. If you want to see national and global updates, if you're local to Seattle, follow Governor Jay Inslee. He has been doing a lot of lives on Facebook and doing a lot of press. What is it called? Why am I blanking on what it's called? Anyway, he's been doing a lot of press conferences. That's what it is. And
a junket?
No, like press conferences. And so he's been doing those. That's a great resource. KUOW.org. That is the Seattle NPR affiliate. Also during this time, if you feel so moved, you can donate. I made a donation to The Stranger, which is Seattle. It's like an alternative newspaper in Seattle. They do a lot of coverage of local stuff that's happening. I really appreciate it. It's a very liberal newspaper, so I made a donation to them. A lot of their money, I think at least 90%,
almost all of it,
90% of their revenue comes from events and the ticketing site they have. And because there is a ban right now in Seattle on events over 50 and events under 50 have to have all these stipulations for very good reason, they've had to lay off, I think, 18 people. So I donated money to them. I also donated money finally to KUOW, which is low-key insane because I've been on KUOW and participated with them for well over a year. But this is what it took for me to donate, and I made a one-time donation, and it felt really nice. So if you have the means, I would look into supporting the outlets and businesses that you care about. I would look into donating money or resources to, there's different food banks, or there's options for people whose kids are at home and maybe the only meal they ever got during the day was at school. There's a lot of those things happening. And just checking in on your friends. I'm an extrovert, but I'm a homebody. So for me personally, being faced with this amount of time to be in the house, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I'm rather enjoying it right now.
Yeah, and Mike doesn't bother me. So I've seen a few articles saying that divorce rates in China are going up, and it could be linked to couples now being in the house all day under these lockdowns. But for me, I like being around Mike. I've had friends ask what working from home together is like. It's no different than when we're together all the other time.
It all hinges on me not playing the finger drums all day.
Yeah, and him just, I think we work well together. We're being respectful of each other. We're, communicating, and the main thing was just figuring out all of our conference calls and schedules and just putting that on a whiteboard that we have in the kitchen, so we can be respectful of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think things are going pretty well. I'm on week 3 of working from home, and I feel great. I will probably listen back to this in 2 more weeks after.
Yeah, we'll see how.
What was I thinking?
We'll see how this ages. This is a moment in history. Like right now, this is a time capsule.
Yeah,
because this is the middle. This is the middle of the coronavirus outbreak. In a year to 5 to 10 years, we can look back at this and really see. We can have a little peek into what were we doing now, and what think about what you're doing now.
How
and
hopeful did you feel?
You know what? I'm hopeful because literally this too shall pass. This will pass. We will get through this. Some people are going to die, but most of us are going to get through this.
The way that I feel is that having set some boundaries for the way that I was taking in the 24/7 news cycle really did help my mental health immediately and immensely. I was checking it multiple times every hour throughout the day.
Yeah, they're going to keep making this content for you to read.
It was to the point that I had a migraine for 3 days. I hadn't slept in 3 nights. I was having like no joke, I was having phantom symptoms, and it got to the point where I told Mike that I felt like when I was inhaling through my nose, my nostrils felt too clear.
Too clear.
I know.
Clear.
Stay with me. Too clear. And
Too
he's like,
clear.
well, if you look on WebMD and you say my symptoms are that I can breathe too clearly, I don't know what you're going to come up with. I mean, it was a lot to the point that I really think that I could convince myself I had a sickness that I didn't have. It helps being quarantined in the house with a nurse. I do worry for my friends or people like friends of friends who are quarantined by themselves and are, kind of inclined to spin out, because I'm that person, and having another check in my presence, like you were there to check in, to kind of check me and help balance out the anxiety and anxiousness and hysteria.
I was literally here to tell you that it's okay that you can breathe out through your nose.
Kind of like you hear if you do shrooms, you need like a guide, someone who's not doing shrooms to help keep you calm. Mike has been my
Tell you
sensei.
it's going to be okay.
You're like, you're getting into a negative loop and you're just having a bad trip, and I'm going to walk you back out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been like that. I'm also happy dogs can't get it.
I was so happy when I heard that. I still haven't looked it up myself. Oh, which brings us, okay, if you're going to share something online or with other people, make sure you know it's from a good source, because there's so much misinformation floating out there.
So much, just especially from like your older relatives who barely know how to use Facebook, and they're just sending links.
I mean, what's crazy is like we should have already been doing this. All these political memes, half of them are generated by Russia.
Everything that's happening right now during the outbreak is kind of shining light on things that we already should have been doing. You already should have known how to wash your hands. No, you really should have. You already should have had dish soap and hand soap and toilet paper and paper towels in your house. These are things that you shouldn't need to go out and like hoard. The guy in the New York Times article who had 17,000 bottles of sanitizer, I'm happy they covered him in the article, because he felt so guilty and shame that he donated them. After he made $40,000 and Amazon cut him off from being a seller, there's also now a site where you can report price gouging of any like actual necessities, which is really cool.
Mind you, price gouging is happening every single day by the pharmaceutical industry. So if anyone has any kind of feeling about this guy going out and buying a bunch of hand sanitizer and selling it for a huge profit on Amazon, the pharmaceutical industry is letting millions of people die all over the world by price gouging these resources. So think about that, and also think about hoarding wealth and how we allow certain people to hoard massive amounts of wealth and not do any good with it.
I think I've seen an article going around where Amazon was asking some employees to donate unused time to other employees who may use it, who may need it. And they were saying the irony of this company being owned by one of the world's wealthiest people, and they're asking their employees to donate time, or even the one NBA player who is paying the salary of some of the hourly workers.
A 19-year-old kid, and the owner of that team is a billionaire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this should just shed light on, we're mad at this guy for going out and buying a bunch of hand sanitizer, and it's fucked up for sure. Sorry, Aunt Martha. But there's people doing this every day and have been.
So I think the thing that I'm hopeful for through all of this is that we're going to get back in touch with humanity and people will care about one another. Mike and I have been going out and we always walk together, but it's been nice to see people actually outside walking around, just trying to talk and enjoy real life. And obviously with distance
from
and
6
stuff.
feet away.
From you mean like get the fuck off. Like
hello.
6 feet away. I'll end the episode by letting you all know the new nicknames that I have given Mike, since we are now new coworkers, and everyone has nicknames usually for their coworkers. So the new nicknames that I've given you are, one is Grandpa. Grandpa is when you're being a boomer. The other one is Mommy Daddy. And that I kind of stole from an episode of High Maintenance when they were doing like this kink sex quiz. But yeah, so I call him Mommy Daddy when he's being very caring and sweet, like a mommy and a daddy. And then I call you Tiger Daddy when you're being mean. Because there's times, because Mike is a nurse and he has worked around infectious disease before. So he can be a little, I don't want to say condescending because he doesn't mean to be condescending, but he's so nonchalant about the anxiety and stress that people are feeling around this infectious disease that is affecting the entire world, that I'm like, okay, Tiger Daddy, like I'm not allowed to be nervous or scared. And so yeah, there's that. And then there was the new guy, and then Fish.
I don't get Fish. Where did that come from?
Fish is from the Dave Chappelle stoner movie.
Oh.
Remember when the guy went to jail? What's it called?
Half-Baked.
Half-Baked. When he went to jail and they kept saying fish. Then the guy with the squirrel helped him.
Okay, and I've been calling Aisha Helicopter Mom.
Which is yeah.
That's been done. Scary Lady.
The Scary Lady is the new one he started calling me.
And then Snack. Because you did your morning routine this morning, and I mean, you came into the kitchen looking like a snack.
That was cute. But yeah, the Scary Lady is what he calls me now. And he doesn't just call me a scary lady. He starts talking in the voice of like a traumatized 5-year-old.
Mom, the scary lady. Mom, the scary lady.
Yeah, he starts doing that, which definitely makes me laugh. But yeah, so he calls me those things. And I think it's just been fun. I think also it's a way to diffuse. I don't want to say we have like a tense situation, but it's kind of a way to diffuse it when you give labels and names to when someone's acting a certain way. So it's kind of like instead of me being like, you're being insensitive right now, I can just be like, okay, Tiger Daddy.
Humor has been my coping mechanism for any tense situation.
Your entire life.
My entire life.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been.
Mommy, the scary lady's yelling again.
Oh, also, big thing. Mike went to his first therapy appointment.
Mommy, the scary lady made me go to a therapist.
What do you think?
It was good. I wanted to not go often, and she was like, it's not really how this works. You're going to have to like come more than like once every couple months. And so I agreed to like start off at a quicker cadence than I wanted to. But it's going to be good. I liked her vibe, and I think that's what is really the only important thing, as long as I actually felt like I could trust her right away. And I think that's like the most important thing, because if you're going to go to therapy, you have to be radically honest with that person, because you have to be radically honest with yourself. And so I was just like, okay, I feel like I can talk to this person. I feel like I can trust her. I'm going to go with her. I'm not going to like anyone more than I like her, within an hour anyway. So like
you swiped right.
I swiped right.
What is also fun for me is that we have a couples therapy appointment this weekend. And I think it's the perfect time, as we are working from home for an indefinite, like we don't know how long this will be, but it's really going to be good for us to have an opportunity to speak with a therapist. And so I'm excited to kind of navigate. We have a few little hiccups that we're like, we need some tools for how to navigate talking about these things.
I need some tools.
Yeah, we need some tools. Ooh-wee. Okay, so week 1 of our 8-week quarantine in Seattle, which I've already been quarantining myself before this, but we're week 1, day 1.
All right.
Of 8 weeks. And
we'll
I
check
feel hopeful. We love each other.
And we love all of you listening as well. Take care of yourselves.
We love you all listening. Take care, and let us know what you're doing. Give us recommendations for Mike and all of his Audible credits. And please let us know, how did you make it through the office, or should I just abort?
Okay, bye.
Bye.